Hey, Heidi Ho, YouTubers. I thought I'd give you a quick follow-up on the maple syrup tapping project that I underwent this spring. First, I want to give you a quick tip because somebody had commented that on a video that I ran across this morning because, I subscribe or whatever to the person that commented, and it was a tip about securing your garage door for SHTF. And I thought it was a good tip. But I'll post a link to the video. It's only like a minute or something long, and you can watch it and see what I mean. But that little lever that the rope is attached to on your garage door opener, and you'll see what these guys are up to. The little lever, in order to re-secure the garage door, like after you use it, you have to climb a ladder and poke that up, or poke it with a stick or something. Makes it real inconvenient, and I just think that it's better to put a bolt through the side rail with a nut on it so that the roller can't come up, and that'll keep people out. Anyhow, you'll see the video and see what I mean. Okay, so on to maple syrup. I shot some video of the tree, it's budding out, and how it's pretty much quit dripping and all that stuff. And somehow I messed it up and only got my feet as I was walking back to the house. But everybody knows what a tree looks like budding out, and as soon as it did that, it quit dripping sap. And I think if I had gotten out maybe a day or two earlier, I probably would have at least doubled the amount of sap that I got. As it was, I got somewhere between 4 and 5 gallons of sap, which I thought was pretty good, and it was a good experiment. So I did shoot some video of boiling it down into syrup, and I'll show that to you now. So anyhow, I've been boiling sap down today, working in the garden. I was going to maybe use my StoveTech stove, try to do it with wood, but I decided to use this little camp stove instead, because that way all I have to do is come over every once in a while and pump it up a little bit. If you don't have one of these camp stoves, by the way, every prepper should. Man, this thing's the bomb. Doesn't work on propane, but it uses multiple fuels, like they have their own fuel, Coleman does, and I think it runs on unleaded gas and kerosene. I don't know, I'd have to look it up. We've got several gallons of the Coleman fuel saved up, and this little tank, it's maybe about, 1 liter? And it'll burn like 4 or 5 hours on that. Anyhow, this is my second batch, and you can see how much of it's boiled down. It's getting close, and I've been using, when it gets down to pretty far, I transfer it over to another little pot, and I've been going to 220 degrees. That's they say you're supposed to go 7.5 or 8 degrees above boiling for your area. And then I've been straining it through this old metal brass coffee filter. We use it in our coffee pot, so it's kind of got some coffee stains. But anyhow, I'm not going to get much out of it, maybe a pint. I'll show you when I'm all done what that looks like. It's not real mapley color. I think it's actually a silver maple out there, but it's real tasty. So I probably should be skimming that foam off, but it strains out through that filter pretty easy. So alright, so we'll show you when this gets done, and talk to you later. Well, I had some comments on the original maple syrup video about how you can tap walnut trees and birch trees and what have you. I think if you got maples, you're better off. I'm pretty sure I have a silver maple, and it had a little maple flavor, but not a whole lot like what you'd get out of a sugar maple. This is all I got out of 4 or 5 gallons of syrup, of sap. That's all the syrup we got. It has just a little maple flavor to it, but it's really tasty. It'd be really good on some pancakes. I think what I'm going to do, we've got some woods just 2 or 3 blocks away from the house here, hardwood forest, and I'm going to go out as soon as the leaves come on, because it's easy to spot maple leaves, and scout out some trees maybe I can tap next year and get some more syrup. And then in the meantime, over the course of the year, I'm going to look for some way to fashion a big boiler, a big stainless pan or something that I can put over a campfire and boil it down. I considered getting some of the plastic taps, which they have, and they look like it'd be a lot more convenient to use, because you can put a little piece of tubing on there and run it down to a bucket. But I just think, plastic in an SHTF world could get brittle, and you're pounding it in with a hammer and or a mallet, and that stuff could crack. So I'm going to stick with the metal taps, and maybe I'll get some more of them. Can you see that? Okay, yeah. So the other thing I want to do is figure out maybe, the Mrs. Wolfe had suggested the whole idea with the 2-liter bottle, and it worked real good, but I'll tell you, when the tree was really flowing, I had to go out once an hour and empty that thing, and I don't want to be going out into the woods every hour, because I think in an SHTF scenario, if you can do this as stealthy as possible, you'd be better off, because somebody could steal your sap, or they could steal even your taps. So yeah, I want to figure out how to fashion a bucket onto a tree so that the tap will go into it, and also maybe camouflage it some so that people can't see it, and then maybe go out once a day at the most, so that people don't see you traipsing around out in the woods and figure out what you're doing. But it was a great experiment, and we should all be experimenting with all these things to try to learn tips and tricks and figure out what works and what doesn't. And I got to tell you, even with all the work involved, I can't imagine how much barter value this would have 4 or 5 years into a SHTF scenario. It's really tasty stuff. We'll get through this.